Hello. For all of you who are still here, this is going to be a little different. I'm never going to go ahead and take over Jasper's role. He's just so inherently funny all the time. So that's not going to go ahead and happen. But I wanted to go ahead and take you down a very different kind of a session. So Danny and I are friends, and we both I come from India. She goes and runs one of the world's largest esports companies in China. Both of them, we are in the gaming space. And what I thought was, rather than having this as a moderated session, we just have a chat with each other. And our chats are all over the place. And that's the nature of you listening to two friends talk about where is gaming? Does gaming still matter? Do what we do matter? What are we doing with all those big logos behind it, with music, with Web3, with marketing, with AI, and this. So yeah, for the next 28 minutes and 40 seconds, you're just going to hear two friends chat. We'll keep some time in the end if anyone has any questions. So rather than me make you very uncomfortable at the end of it with, do you have any questions? If you have any questions during this entire session, whenever you have questions, just raise your hand. I'll just look at you there, so I know there are questions. And if there are none, we'll just keep chatting. Yeah? Just have fun.
Cool. This is a very different kind of panel to the ones that I usually do, where we come with speaking points, with points we want to get across. This is really just us two friends chatting about what pretty much has become our life, right? Gaming is something that we all grew up with, and now it's part of what we do as well. And now it's making sure that people who are really, really, really good at gaming gets that stage, gets that recognition, gets that spotlight. That's kind of what we think about every day. So yeah, we can chat for hours. So let's get started.
And we've talked over whiskey on this. We've talked about different things. So probably the first question, which is the session name, which is there. Does gaming matter? Do we do anything? You know, this is one of those existential things. We are sitting in this world of AI, and then we are talking about, I don't know, quantum computers coming, and the world is being crazy. Does gaming really matter anymore?
Wow.
Please don't say no.
So I was traveling. I've been traveling this whole past week. And I have two boys, two kids. And they're probably the nerdiest nerds that you can meet, which I'm very, very proud of. Like, I'm a nerd myself as well. And so it's really hard to get them motivated to do anything athletic. But both of them competed in a swim meet for the first time ever this past weekend. And you know what? They came to me immediately after, I mean, regardless of ranking and everything. They came to me and they asked me for a very specific reward, which is, Mom, we swam today. Can we have 45 minutes of extra game time today? That is that generation. So I spoke to my dad, right, their grandpa, and I said, how are they feeling? Are they feeling okay? Are they excited? My dad says, yes, well, you know, they did all of that because they want to make you feel proud. And more importantly, they want to have that extra game time. So I think not only for our generation, but when I look at the kids in the younger generation, it's not a matter of does gaming matter, right? Gaming has become part of day-to-day, part of their life, part of how they socialize with their friends. And it's how does game matter? How can we make it matter in a way that's more coherent with who we are as people and with our culture and with how we sort of come about in this universe?
And I think I have the same thing with my mom. I have two daughters. My elder one, whenever she wants to go ahead and do this, so I'm a hardcore gamer. I play things like Faster Than Light and all these strategy things. And she'll come and says, Dad, did you know if you went right instead of left, you'd probably survive longer, but I want you to go left because I want you to go spend more time with me. So she sits down on my lap and we talk about her day, and while we go ahead and try solve puzzles together. And those conversations. So I think gaming has become, I think gaming was a sector, like a vertical. I think it's become a horizontal now.
I agree.
I think it's everyone, I think it's really bad if your kids, if kids don't know computers.
I agree. It's in our generation. There were times back in the old days where the gamers are the geeky ones, right? You sit at a separate table at lunch, nobody talks to you. You have your own lingo, your vocabulary where you describe things that people find odd. Whereas nowadays, it's if you look at every table across school canteens, like all gamers, just a matter of degree, just a matter of which genre you play. Do you play casual game? Do you play MOBA? Do you play FPS? Do you play, blocks throughs, or do you play something else? So I think I definitely agree with that. Gaming has become a horizontal instead of a one vertical.
And we've different people, artists, businessmen. This is a very strong conference that is sitting here. If that is true, does gaming matter business-wise? We've seen layoffs happening in gaming across the world, where one after the other. But we've seen that in tech across the world. We've seen esports layoffs. Are we maturing to be not the sexy, investable asset class that everyone thought, and we have to be mature and disciplined and boring now?
I think that's what happens when you grow up, right? Unfortunately, like you start with what they call it, the buzzword, the word that everybody talks about, and when you becomes part of the everyday life, people stop talking about you because they get used to it. Oh, of course, kids play games. Of course, they want to watch esports. And I have a funny anecdote that we just launched. A collaboration between Black Myth Wukong, which is the AAA Chinese title that was launched last year, and we helped them with commercialization and collaboration with brands. We just launched a collaboration between Black Myth Wukong and McDonald's. So this is for the Chinese Mid-Autumn Festival. And to a point, gaming is now a horizontal instead of a vertical. Previously, when people think about, oh, we want to do a gaming collaboration, it's what, mouse, keyboards, little figurines, right? No, but my favorite part of that collaboration is that we're doing Black Myth Wukong socks. We're doing bathrobes. Like this is what, it's not that niche segment anymore. Rather, it's when we look at the broader, younger generation, which I still consider myself to be a part of. I mean, this is what we like.
And I think I think we've become culture. Music is culture. It moves people. Nobody asks you, do you like music? The question is always, what music do you like? Right? No one asks you, do you like food? They ask you, what food do you like? I think that's where we've become that. I don't think people will ask you, do you like gaming? It's be like, what game do you like? I think it's an identity now. And as we move into being this horizontal, when I invested into Jasper's company long ago, I come from this place where I was actually an attendee at Jasper's event. Then I became a sponsor, and then I became a delegate, then I became a sponsor, then I became a speaker, and then I became an investor. And one of the things he talked about was, as these lines cross, I invested into Comic-Con. You're doing something phenomenal with Tomorrowland. Yeah. So Tomorrowland in China is Danny's, and she's bringing that in. But I thought you were a gaming company, right? And same as me when I'm doing esports, and then suddenly I'm buying Comic-Con and I'm running music festivals. I think in that space, what is identity for gaming then for you? If I ask you what is hero today in gaming, what was it yesterday, and what will it be tomorrow? I know it's one putting us on the spot, but what do you think we want it to be?
Yeah, well, it's. I was just thinking as you were saying, like all of these things are no longer mutually exclusive, right? People don't say I love music and period. And then you love music, you love playing games, you love food, you love enjoying a good time, you love all of that. So to us, you talked about Comic-Con, and then we're doing music as well. We're bringing Tomorrowland, collaborating with them to bring Tomorrowland experience in China for the first time this November. And that's because it goes back to the kid sitting in the cafeteria, right? He or she who's sitting in the group of gamers, it's not that they are the niche customer we have to create tailor-made specific experiences for anymore. They're now the mass. They're now the pop culture. They're the cool kids. And then of course they like gaming, of course they like watching esports, but just as much as they enjoy music, as they enjoy good food, as they enjoy hanging out with people. So when we think about who we are, when we started the company back in 2016, and back at the time, gaming was still quite niche, right? Esports was still quite niche. And so we focused a lot about providing the best kind of esports tournament experience for our fans, both on-site, in the arena, and also off-site, outside of the arena, virtually. But as we grew over the years, really, I feel like we're growing. Our company has been very fortunate in that we've been growing with this generation. We've been very lucky to take part in this generational shift of the audience, of our fans becoming, they just grew up, right? It's not like with more and more people coming into gaming. It's just that all the future generations, to quote what Yasu was saying, they're born into this world as digital natives. They're born into this world as gamers. Right? Even when you look at how young parents are teaching their kids nowadays, sometimes you give them a little app, you start, it's called education gamified. It's all intrinsic now as part of who we are. So as a company, as we evolved with this generation of our users, of our fans, we realized what we need to do is to offer them the cool things that they enjoy as well. And we know what we're really, really, really good at. We're really, really good at creating those experiences, those contents that bring people together, both on a large scale offline and also at a massive scale online. And then that's applicable, that capability is applicable in esports, it's also applicable in games, it's also applicable in music, and Comic-Con and various. But the essence of it is still the same thing. It's building a space, building a place where people can come and just connect.
And I think I've been hearing what you're saying. When you talk to young kids, you have those, we were just talking outside on what is a young kid, and 14, 15, 16, 18-year-old kids, they go through this huge need for identity, right? Who am I is a very strong youth question, right? What is my thing? Am I a Trekkie? I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm a noodle or a ramen fan, right? I like spicy food, don't like spicy food. I like Jordans, I don't like Jordan. So you find these things that define you for things you love. And I think in the nomenclature of that, what kind of a gamer you are, or what kind of pop culture stuff that you like, becomes really relevant, right? And I think, K-pop Demon Hunter is a good example, right? K-pop Demon Hunter is just another one of those phenomenal things that is there. And I think there's a person who heads Riot Games, and he was talking to me about the first experiment that they had actually tried this with KDA. So, and you've seen those things. The evolution of KDA, which is a VTuber equivalent, was done as an experiment 5 to 7 years ago. So is there a potential that gaming is also the playground of future tech?
I think the answer lies in the question itself, right? We all know this, not the origin story, but we all know how NVIDIA, when their chips were first invented, that was because they wanted to serve the gaming companies. And then Slack was invented as kind of the internal working app, grouped internal of a gaming company as well. I mean, a lot of what the gaming companies have been doing, it comes from a very simple place, right? What we talked about building connection. Well, esports is kind of building connection of people, both online and offline. We do this virtual, physical integration. Gaming is almost purely, you're building this whole world in the virtual space. And every single successful game founder that I've met always have this very simple obsession of creating an ideal world in the virtual space for themselves and also for their players. And to do that, they are relentless in utilizing every possibility they have on hand. So that means every technology, every hardware equipment, every new form of play, every new, the modes of play, everything. So, and another crucial aspect of it is that games game companies have really great business models. So when they succeed, they can benefit from having that huge cash flow that comes from having that business model that works, that allows them, enables them to really go for the best kind of resources they have at hand. And that turned them into this, exactly as you said, into this playground, into this experiment lab for all the new technologies when it comes to how can they be adapted and how can they be utilized.
Even matchmaking, we think about that. I think there's a way most modern games that are running on things that are this small, PUBG Mobile, etc., have something called voice chat. And typically, this voice chat is between 4 people who are in a squad or in a group that they are playing. We had a really interesting outcome of this, which PUBG Mobile's India version, BGMI, which has about 100 million gamers in India, became one of the biggest dating apps. Oh, yeah. Right? Bigger than Match.com, bigger than Tinder, bigger than anyone, because look at the selection that is there. So 4 people come into a group because of the game things, 25% chance one of them is a girl. Nobody knows who they are. As soon as the girl speaks, 3 boys keep quiet. They now go ahead and try and protect her. They have between 6 to 7 minutes to go ahead and woo her and convince her that she's cool, they're cool enough. They all send, every boy will send her a friend request. She decides which friend request to accept. At the end of it, if she accepts the friend request, she plays more games with you. And only when they're good enough do they evolve to Instagram to go ahead and do this. But I thought this was a video game.
Because it's horizontal. It's the horizontal layer now. We live and breathe in that virtual space. Sometimes for our generation, it's harder to realize that because it just comes so natural to us, right? I would say, I don't think we were born digital native as a generation, but definitely we were raised in that sphere, that we're more fluent in that. If you look at our parents, my parents would not imagine or understand that people can date in a video game, but that's what kids do these days. That's how they make friends, and that's how they match with each other. That's how they compete. I mean, this is like, what's the American show where they have the Bachelor, right? The Bachelor or the Bachelorette. I mean, what better place to have that? And it's so democratized. You don't have to be on the TV show for you to be the girl who's choosing the guy. You can just do it in an in-game environment, and in such a way that 6 and 7 minutes can tell you so much about a person, probably can tell you more about a person than any date, coffee date, dinner date would, because there is no pretense. I mean, when you're fighting, we were talking about Delta Force, we just did a tournament for them and they just passed 30 million DAU, right? When you're playing that game, when you have that chance of grabbing that one crucial treasure, do you grab it for yourself or do you save it for your teammate? Like, where's the sense of commemoration comes into place? That's very, very telling. I almost think, now this is a question, that we reveal a deeper, a truer side of ourselves when we're playing games, when we're super focused on one goal, that is winning. I think that probably reveals more of us than in any other scenarios.
My NODWIN would not be found unless I found my co-founder, Gotham. He'd come from Canada. He was playing a game called StarCraft. He used to play Zerg. I used to play Protoss. And over time, when we used to keep on playing together, I realized that he's a very good single task doer. And I was a really good multitask doer. I hated finishing things. He hated starting things. He loved finishing things. I used to go out and love starting things. And our first venture was actually a different venture than gaming. But over time, you realized this person makes me a better person because I found them. And that sifting of playing with each other where even if he gets angry, I know why he gets angry. I know which buttons to press to get him angry. He knows which buttons of mine to go ahead and press. So I think the evolution of maybe games then, again, as we talked about horizontals, is maybe it's an incubator for startups. I don't know if we start going and finding out about the valuations of companies in the world that were formed on the back of being gaming buddies. It'd be in billions as such. And so gaming does matter for everyone sitting in this room. and it will. I think that's one of the things that we keep on grappling. But mean, in the next 2 years, we're seeing seminal shifts across the world on geopolitical things. Investments are moving from China to Saudi Arabia. I mentioned that as the start at the start of the day. We are seeing two cultures, both China and India, being just because of the number of people we have, define where value will sit at different stages of evolution in the world. And being different in both countries is actually okay, right? Like, it's not a big problem. Will there be a one-size-fits-all? Are we seeing a one-size-fits-all kind of a gaming thing? Is the Japanese market similar to the Korean market or the Chinese market? Is the Indian market similar to, I don't know, maybe Nigerian or Uzbek or this? Or what is same and what's different?
That's a really tough question to answer. What is the same and what is different? I think just like when we look at across any other industries, it's really hard to find, even in technology, which is considered to be kind of the most Earth is flat industry, there are still geographic and cultural differences that comes into it. And especially something that's, I would say games are, a lot of it is the narratives, the storytelling. It's an experience. You play a game, you go through this whole flow of playing, of starting from one point, finishing another, and then you do it, whether you do it solo or you do it as a collective. It's this whole life experience, right? And then as all life experiences, a large part of it is cultural. So I do think in every single region, there will be different genres of games that speak to that region. MOBA, as we know, is popular in some regions, for example, in China and Brazil, but less so in other regions. First-person shooter titles are very popular in some regions and not so other regions. So I think the question is not, it's gaming as we see it being developed universally, and we have a lot of, yes, there was a short question that embedded in your question where you said, well, what would matter to gaming in the next 2 to 5 years, right? What we think matters. As we see this universal trend develop, there are going to be regional differences in different parts of the world. But I think what at least a personal view is that I think what will really matter for us, for gaming, for esports in the next 2 to 5 years, are probably two things that speaks to your main question as well. One is, we talk about this unifying experience, this universal development of gaming, but there is also that regional differences. And that is not just in our industry, it's across different industries, and it's in politics. Unfortunately, it's being more pronounced in this era with global leaders who have, new ideas.
Opinions.
New ideas. And under this, I mean, the world has, I'm not saying the world has always been a very peaceful place, but I do feel those differences more pronounced in recent years. So I think this day and age calls for even a louder opportunity for people to connect, to really bring people together, to be unified against one thing. I mean, that's why I personally really love the Olympics, because it's bringing people together under one simple goal of competing for the best in whichever game you choose, whichever sport you choose to compete in. And that's deeply intrinsic in every single one of us, to wanting to be the best version of ourselves, right? And it doesn't matter where you're from. And then so it's that sense of something that connects people across the political chatter, across the differences, that I think is going to matter a lot to us. And the second thing is we talk about AI, everything is talking about us being a step into the future, everything is more virtual. A lot of that generational shift that we spoke about, of our kids growing up to be digital native, there's an upside to it, and there's obviously the downside of it. The risks of being so lured into that virtual existence that we sometimes forget that we need to take care of our bodies, that we need to connect in person and meet in person, that to actually hold a cup of warm coffee in your hand while you talk to someone, that kind of sensation is very hard to be replaced by just purchasing an item and sharing something online, right? And then so that's why I think for gaming, why esports matters, is because this is where we bring the online, we sort of almost in a way, nudge, force, lure the online community to translate that virtual connection that they've built in that gaming space to say, come offline, to join us, to gather in large scale, to break that barrier between the invisible wall that separates the online and offline experience, and to still find a strong enough reason to come, to root for your team together, to build that offline connection, to rub shoulders against each other and yell, for your favorite athlete. So I think those are the two things that really matter for us.
And just echoing on that, I think for us, I call that, it used to call offline and online are gaming terms that we both. One of my team members actually says, live matters.
Live matters, yeah.
Right? And it's also an acronym for life matters, right? So as more and more experiences become more and more digital, the premium of a live experience is extremely important. And premium is not just money, in just the value of the time and the happiness and the joy and the smiles that you can go ahead and do. Going out camping with your teammates or your friends, going out to a concert, going to go to McDonald's and having Black Myth Wukong and bonding on that, saying, that's the character and this is what I did, and did you know I couldn't go ahead and beat it? And the other guy's like, I tell you how to go ahead and beat this. And just the camaraderie that is there. We see this camaraderie being built for people who are Mount Everest base climbers. We see it with Nike, with sneakerheads. We see it with people who go ahead and like Trekkies. We see it with people who love Linkin Park. I think fandom and bonding that elevates the joint experience for everyone together becomes there. And that starts translating gaming to a lot of the people who are sitting in this room, right? Whether you're in crypto, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in beverages, whether you're in investments. Gaming's become this fundamental, foundational layer that a lot of Lego is being built out of, which is there. And whether the Lego is being built out as a Harry Potter Lego or Duplo are just choices that people have as we build this out. I've not seen any questions, so I'm just going to go peer into the future. If anyone is, just raise your hand. This device, 10 years from now, here, will it all go to the eyes? Will mobile become the next PC? That there was this device that used to be that people were there, and in 10 years' time, if you have a smartphone, a Google Pixel 10, it'll be as fuddy-duddy as a Nokia 2250 or something, where you're like, you have a feature phone. How retro about you?
I think you're being optimistic. If in 10 years, my feeling is if in 10 years we still carry around stuff like that, we'd be looking like people with cassette players, which they no longer exist anymore. That's a very interesting question. I think the mode of play, the platform of play has evolved so much. I think that the speed of evolvement has accelerated so much within our generation. We're playing on consoles, we're playing on PC, and now we're playing on this little thing. And I feel in 10 years we won't be having anything in our hands. No, probably not even glasses. Have you seen those cool helmets?
Yes.
They just put in, or
Black Mirror, just saying.
a hairband, and then you just, I think that's very, very likely.
Yeah. Neuralink will come.
Neuralink. And maybe the next type of competition we see is not even you and I having a conversation. Maybe it's you and I sitting at home at some points, and our humanoids will be representing us and sitting up here and having a conversation. I don't know, I'm fascinated by that version of the future, but also scared.
Yes.
And that's what I think if that's the future that we're looking at in 10 years, what do I want to do now? Right? That makes me almost even want to do what I do now even more. Because I want to force people, I want to create the venue, create the space, excuses for people to come of no, I can't send my humanoids to root for my team. I gotta go. Like our China team is fighting against the India team on this first-person shooter game title that's actually played by real human.
Yep.
So that warrants some real human fans going there and cheering for it. I do hope that whatever platform we end up playing or communicating on in 10 years, that the essence of it is still the same, that we still root for each other as we play. We root for the winners, we also root for the losers. And unlike your founding story, where when you and your co-founder met, I founded the company with a group of hardcore gamers. And they're all much better gamers than I am. And the reason why we're still in this, building this thing together is that I've turned out to be a really good clapper. So even though they beat me at every single session, I'm so bad at playing, but I enjoy watching people play and celebrate the winner and the loser. I hope that kind of spirit is still there in 10 years, regardless of what form we turn into.
I think that's a really good way to go ahead and end it by going and saying, I think gamers also become the best fans of each other, and both the joys and the sadnesses that we bring to everyone's lives. Thank you so much. It's been brilliant to go ahead and have everyone here.